Hey guys, Chad Trofkerman here from the Incredible Tutorials YouTube channel. Jim Mills and I have teamed up with Smith Micro to bring you these brand new Anime Studio 10 tutorials. So I hope you're ready because we're about to get started. Starting with the Select Points tool, we can click that, and this allows us to select points on a layer. So we could select one point, we can drag a box around to select all the points on the layer, or a large group of points, that is. And basically, it just allows us to select points so we can alter them with other tools. Now, if you're having an issue selecting a certain group, use lasso mode. This allows you to create a freehand selection. So you can just come in and draw up like this, and we could get the eyebrows in that case without worrying about the eyelashes. We could also do complex selections like this. So that works pretty good, especially when you want to get in and find those certain points. Now you can just simply click on an object, and you can hold in Shift and click on a second object to select the points of those objects. And we can also create selection groups. So with those eyebrows selected, we could type in eyebrows and then hit create or enter. Now, what will happen here is if we deselect these eyebrows, come back to select group and choose eyebrows, it will once again select them. We can delete this group at any time by hitting the delete button, and then it will be out of the group drop-down menu. Finally, with your selected points, you can flip horizontally or vertically. By doing this, you can either mirror the objects, or you can flip them vertically so they are essentially upside down. So you'll want to take advantage of the Select Points tool often because it can really help you when it comes to using other tools. The Transform Points tool allows us to manipulate points on the canvas. And this is a combination of the scale, rotate, and translate points from previous versions of Anime Studio. You can click on an object to select all the points and hold down your mouse button either in the object or outside of it to move it around. You can place your cursor inside the selection boxes to rotate. And you can use one of the 9 scale points to either resize proportionately. You can also resize horizontally, either on the left or right point. And you can resize up and down. So that works like it would in previous versions with the 3 separate tools, except now it's combined into one. Additionally, you can enter parameters on the top bar for position, scale, and rotation if you're a numbers person. Now, just like before, you can click and hold down on any point and move it around. So you have not lost that functionality in Anime Studio. It's the same as previous versions. Now, another new feature for this version is the ability to select points. If you hold down Control and then drag your mouse button, you can select points without having to go to the Select Points tool. This can make working a lot easier and can really speed up a workflow. So now you can manipulate those points without having to jump between the 2 tools. The Add Point tool allows us to add points to an object, and we can create lines and shapes this way. As you can see, we can click and drag and just go from point to point to create a shape. And you can even add points between lines after the fact if you wish. Now, to weld a shape together, you can hold down the space bar when putting 2 points together and release to weld the shape together. Now, if you want to do this in an easier way, you can come up here and click Auto Weld before snapping points together, and it will automatically do it for you when you get near a point. Now, let's say you want to fill in the object once it's complete. Autofill will allow you to do this. Just go like that, release, and now she has a headband. And it will take the properties from your style palette to fill in your objects. So now, let's say you want to create a shape with sharp corners. Well, check on sharp corners, and we can just come over here to demonstrate you can see we can just draw straight edges without any of the roundness going on. So as you can see, we can create straight edges very easily. The curvature tool allows us to affect the curve of a point. So as an example, we can come in here and we could straighten out this headband. We could click and move to the left to straighten out the edges where these points are. You can move to the right to have the opposite effect. You can round things out by clicking and holding and moving to the right. So here we have the triangle, and we can demonstrate that right here. As we click and move to the right, you can see that we are rounding off that point. So you can use this both ways. Now, if we come up here and let's select this rectangle right here with the Select Points tool, grab the curvature, we have all the points highlighted now. And as we move to the right, you can see that we are affecting all the points at once, from right to left. So that, again, can be very useful when mass editing points. Finally, at the top, you have peak and you have smooth. So you could go from one extreme to the other. You can go completely round, or you can go completely jagged, depending on how you want to approach your object. The Freehand tool allows us to freely draw on the canvas, and this is ideal if you have a graphics tablet. So as you can see, once we hold down the mouse button, we can just start drawing. And again, it mimics the effect of, let's say, a pen or pencil in your hand. You're not applying points, even though points are being applied in the background for you, but you can just concentrate solely now on just drawing out what you want to draw. So if you're coming from a background where you draw with a pen or pencil, this would probably be ideal. And you can see too, it kind of gives you a nice stylized look. We can use pen pressure settings if we have a graphics tablet, but if you're using a mouse, you can set random line width as well as tapered edges to create or emulate that freehand look as if you were using a graphics tablet. Now up here, we have auto weld, which we saw before with the add points tool. Auto stroke will automatically fill in our lines for us, and auto fill, if we were to create a shape and weld it together, will automatically fill in the object for us. Now, another feature is called auto close. What this will do is it will complete a shape for us. So if we stop here, release, you can see that it will close the two closest points. It'll do it with any type of shape. So that can be useful, again, if you want to create shapes in a unique way. Now finally, if you uncheck auto close and auto weld, you'll see now that no points appear on screen. And now we could come in here and just start drawing without worry of having points on screen. Of course, the points are still being made, but you can worry about them later. Right now, it's all about drawing your art and concentrating on that without having all those points. And the freehand options allow you to choose pen pressure and tapered points. Pen pressure can only be applied with graphics tablets. The Draw Shape tool allows you to draw shapes. So with the tool selected on your top bar, you have a variety of shapes you can select. Let's choose the rectangle, click and hold down the mouse button, drag and release. You can see we create an outline for a rectangle. The same with a star or any other shape. An oval, as you can see. So if you use the autofill option or the auto stroke option, let's just use autofill first, we can take a star and it'll apply the fill properties that we have in our style palette to the shape immediately. Same with auto stroke, we get the outline immediately. So that just depends if you want to apply it right away or if you want to wait until later with the paint bucket or the create shape tool. So now if you want to create a perfect shape like a circle, just hold and shift while you draw the shape out. You can see that it will create a perfect symmetrical shape. Same with a rectangle. That will be, of course, a square. The Delete Edge tool allows us to delete a line between 2 points. So if we come down here to the headband and we click on this line, you'll see that that line disappears. Additionally, the fill disappears as well because we are breaking the shape. But this is ideal if you want to delete some lines. We could then take the Add Point tool and we could recreate then this bottom portion of the headband. So that is what the Delete Edge tool is good for. Basically removing some lines so that you can recreate them then later on. The Magnet tool allows us to adjust many points at once. As you can see, we have this big red circle. That's the area of influence. We can adjust the influence numerically at the top, or we can hold an Alt, hold down the left mouse button, and go from left to right to adjust the size. Now, whatever points are near the center, they will be affected more. The points on the outer part of the influence will have less of a movement. And as you can see here, we can alter these 3 points, or we can blow the influence up and alter those points. But you can see the points near the center are moving more than the ones on the outside of the influence radius. The Blob Brush tool is new to version 10 of Anime Studio. And this tool is pretty cool. First, you have a radius, and you can adjust it at the top numerically, or hold an Alt and go from left to right to adjust the size. Once you have a size that you like, you can come in here and start drawing. Now, the thing is, as you draw, what's going to happen here is once you release, it's going to create a shape with an outline. Now, what's cool here is if you decide to keep going. So let's say we fill in this area. We can continue just to paint over everything. You can see right there, it creates another outline. And basically, it just molds to what you're doing. So now we've filled in that object, and now we just have an outline on the outside. So we can come in here, make an extension, add an ear. We can come down here and color in a neck, just to show you what we can do here. So it's pretty unique. And we can also hold in Control or Command, if you are on a Mac, to use this as an eraser tool. So we can come in here and punch out some objects here, or shapes, to create then a hole in the object. And this is, again, useful when you're creating more complex shapes. And we could keep going here, and we could draw some teeth. And basically, whatever you want. It can really be molded to however you want to work. And we could also, as you can see here, use the delete portion to trim things up. And again, the outline will just automatically pop back in once you are finished painting over the object. So that, again, is pretty unique. Now, additionally, if you have a tablet, you can use pen pressure for this. So the more pressure you apply, you'll have different results happening on your screen. But just note that it does create a lot of points, like the Freehand Tool. But there is another tool that has been introduced that will help with this. The Point Reduction tool is the next tool in the list. And basically, this will allow us to reduce the points of an object, as we kind of specified before. You can adjust your radius like you could with any other tool, and the tolerance angle will dictate how many points are removed as you use this tool. The lower the number, the less points will be removed. The higher the number, the more points you'll remove. You can see there, as we drew on those points, quite a bit were removed. However, the shape was altered slightly, and you will have that happen if you remove a lot of points. So we can nudge this back a bit and then try it again. You can see now that a lot of points were removed, And for the most part, we preserved the shape of the object. And we can come in here and just go through all the outlines and try to reduce these points as best as we can. Again, you'll have to keep adjusting the tolerance angle to get the desired results, because different shapes will call for different tolerance angles. So this can be really useful if you use the Blob brush or freehand tools. The eraser tool is also new to version 10, and it allows us to punch holes in objects and delete portions of objects. First, you'll need to select a shape in order to use the eraser tool. And you can adjust the radius like you could with any other tool by holding an Alt and going from left to right, or adjusting the numbers at the top. Now, we can click and drag, and you can see we now have two shapes with that rectangle. We could increase the size and come in here and cut out another portion of that shape, again, altering the look of it completely. Now, you'll see when we come over here to the circle, we can't alter it. Well, that's because we haven't selected it yet. You have to make sure it's selected before you can alter it. Now you can come in here and you can carve out your shape how you want. You'll notice that this does create a lot of points, and you might want to use the point reduction tool after using this tool. But as you can see, you can make your new shapes as complex as you like. We can come in here and zigzag and just really cut out a unique shape that can be used for many different purposes. The scatter brush tool allows us to create several copies of a certain object or group. So if we select it and come up here to the drop-down menu, we can choose insects as an example. Now if we hold down the mouse button and paint around, you can see that we're just creating an assortment of insect graphics here. So you could do the same now with another group. There's bubbles as another example. You could come in here and just draw out all these bubbles. So you can also do some other things at the top when it comes to customization. You could, for instance, adjust the variant of size. So you could say, I want it to be a minimum of, let's say, 20, and then a max of 30. Now, if you do this, they're going to be a lot smaller and they're not going to be as varied. Now, if you went from 20 to, let's say, 90, you're going to have a lot of variation of small and big. So you can play around with that along with the scatter brush options, such as color jitter, flipping X and Y, angle jitter. All of that will give you different variation when you are painting your objects on screen. Now let's come over here to another project file. This will be used here for a custom scatter brush. First, let's go over here to the style palette and choose a white fill color. Now coming over here, we can go to the oval. We can deselect auto stroke. We'll just zoom in here and we can just create a circle by holding in shift and dragging. So now we have this small little circle, and we can go up to edit and copy since it's selected. Take the scatter brush, come over here to the drop down, choose use clipboard. Now we can adjust the size here. We want these to be pretty small, so we can go 5 and let's say 7, just to add a tiny bit of variation. Now we can come in here and we can just start painting. You can see we're basically just copying that circle so that we can paint here in the sky to create a bunch of stars for our night sky. If we render this out, you can see what it looks like. It's looking pretty good. So you could use this for a variety of things. This could be used for snow, for rain, or really anything you can think of. It's really powerful. The Perspective Points tool allows us to create perspective simply by rotating an object. We have a rectangle selected here, all 4 points, and if we click and hold down on the mouse button and we move to the right, you can see now it looks like this rectangle is coming out towards us. And you can rotate in any direction you wish. we could rotate back the other way to create the perspective in this direction. Now, we're basically just altering lines here. This isn't like the counterpart with the layer tools with the XY rotation, where you're actually altering it in 3D space. This is just altering your lines, but it's a good way to create perspective using a 2D graphic. The Shear Points tool is similar to the Perspective Points tool, and it allows us to create a shearing effect. So if we click and hold down and we move to the left, you can see it goes this way. If we move to the right, it goes that way. We can also, if you want to, go up and down. So you could just click and go up like this and down like this. So it can create some interesting effects when you're working on your projects, and it never hurts to have more tools. The Bend Points tool allows us to bend lines as if we were working with an eraser or a rubber band. You know how you can bend an eraser. It's kind of what it reminds me of. So if we click and hold and go to the right, you get that sort of effect. To the left, we'll get you this effect. And if you bend up, it'll go like that, and down goes like that. So you can get many effects with this tool. The Noise tool, which is our last tool here, allows us to create a randomized effect, kind of a noisy effect. I guess that's why it's called the Noise tool. So with your points selected, you can click and drag to the right to create this effect. You can see it just kind of arcs and bends the lines to give a chaotic look. You can go back to the left to restore it. Up and down doesn't do anything. Only to the right will you be able to create that effect. And again, to the left to restore it. And those are the Anime Studio Pro 10 draw tools. If you would like more information on Anime Studio, please visit the official Anime Studio website at anime.smithmicro.com. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next time.